Page 48, Sunday, 26th of October 1975, 11:40. Second recommendation. I greet you in the Wesen of our we and our love. It will be this which will flow to you in order to grant further instruction to you in the values of the recommendations of the 10. So receive then what we give you in obligation towards the creation and its laws and recommendations, in order to convey it to all those who have become loving, seeking, and recognizing of the truth. Human being of the earth, here are words of the truth within the explanation of the next recommendation of the creation, which you shall follow as per the first, and those following it, up to the values of the 10. You shall keep honored the name of the creation and not misuse it. In all life situations you shall honor and praise the name of the creation. Thus, you do not fall into temptation to ever misuse it, and so you provide the proof at all times before it and your fellow human beings that you are that which the creation, in its ever-present love, has called into the existence, namely, a creation of the creation, a creation of the at all times venerable creation itself. I say to you, if you observe and consider this recommendation word given by the creation in whichever manner you want, so you must realize that with this recommendation nothing else is proclaimed than that every single life form has to keep itself pure. Thus, however, this recommendation has been given to you in your human form. It states that you, human being of the earth, shall align yourself to this recommendation and keep yourself pure. However, you shall accordingly live not only in the outer, but rather in the inner and the outer in all of your doings and omissions. So you are a human being who now has cognizance of this second recommendation. You should know that every single word and every single thought and every single deed that cannot be brought into agreement with the love of the creation means a transgression of this creation recommendation, and that you thereby consciously misuse the all-controlling or venerable name of the creation. Indeed, as a human being, you load great severity upon yourself through the contempt for this recommendation of the creation, and for very many human beings, this self-produced burden is intolerable. That is what you are told, human being of the earth, you and each one who hear these words of the explanation in love and have the opportunity to comprehend. Heed this as the second recommendation given to you in all its parts and values which are summarized in one, yet say nothing other than that you, human being, shall love the creation with all your powers, your love, and your knowledge, and the truth and wisdom resulting from it. Therefore you shall realize and honor and praise that, because, after all, the creation itself is the life from which everything has come out of, comes out of, and will timelessly come out of, in all timely and unwavering love. Human being of the earth, do not, however, love only the creation alone, because your being human, in the real and true sense, obligates you to also love all life forms and your fellow human beings that are brought near to you by the creation. Thereby, it is not of importance whether these are near you spiritually or physically or otherwise, because all and everything exists in the one life of the being, and there is no difference in kind and form and in other things, because all is originated from the life of the creation, out of the self-created love of the creation itself, from which all has come out of, comes out of, and will still come out of in the future. Hence, if you fulfill your duty in the right love diligence, thus you also fulfill this recommendation given from the creation, and you will never misuse its name, but rather, through your love approach, you will control or venerate the same, on and on, so that the intervention of all impenetrable darkness out of your own, and also from outside powers, are taken from you through the controlling of the name of creation for all great times in space and time, and also in its paralyzation. For you stand and walk in the light of the all-loving creation in which nothing is able to exist that has not gone into fulfillment, and will be existent from it and through it, and that is not permeated by this second recommendation. Therefore, you who knows to love the creation, do what this recommendation desires of you. Thus, knowing this, you have rid yourself of the beliefs which are indeed built only on assumptions and devoid of the real truth. Thus, you are free of the beliefs, and have become knowing. Realize, every single infringement and every single contempt of this recommendation shuts the way to the light from you. Thus, that you indeed stand in the love of the creation and have the living breath within you. Still, however, you do not find the path of the recognition and wander around in the impenetrable darkness of the unknowledge for so long until you are willing to follow the given recommendation, and until you clearly recognize the love will of the creation, which you only find in the controlling or veneration of the name of the creation. The creation, which is the love itself, helps you to advance, yet the following of its given recommendations and laws must find and retain its full attention, because it is not able to do anything for anyone who is not himself or herself willing, and changing within their own will, to follow the desire of the creation in all love, in the knowledge, and in one's own built-up will. Therefore, the creation also determines its recommendation that next to it no other powers and mights, as well as no gods, tin gods, and saints and images of saints, may be tolerated. And, human being of the earth, you shall laud and praise no other names than only that alone which contains the creation in itself, that out of which streams forth on and on the bright, all great timely light, and the unfading love for all creations of the creation. This is that which the creation set in the determination of its recommendations, as it, in its own creation, created and brought into use the powers to attest to its own self-perfecting, evaluative creations, in particular, the creation of the human being life form in all its universal-wide types and forms. How the following of the creation recommendations have been disregarded and are still disregarded today by you, human being of the earth, that is clear enough to you, as you walk along in the light of the creation. With shuddering and fright, you realize where the non-observance of the creation recommendations has led you. From out of our vantage point and level, which proceeds along in the last forms with the relative absolute fulfillment, we do not want to explain to you that you have driven yourself into ruin, because to this it is a very long way. Human being of the earth, you are not better and not worse than other life forms, yet, however, much more misled than all known to us. This, however, also only in the unvalues of your unreal and incomprehensible cultish religions, which find no others like them in all levels or universes known to us. This, however, is not badness nor maliciousness from you, because you have only been misled due to certain unhonest reasons, through which you have fallen prey to the exploitation, the spirit poverty, or consciousness poverty, and the slavery. So it would be false to be reproaching you and to accuse you of the acquired ruin. Nevertheless, be conscious that you continue rushing towards this ruin if you do not avert yourself from the way of your unreal cult religions, which are maliciously foreign to the truth. You still truly have not walked into ruin, yet, however, you walk on the way towards this. Your present state is unknowledge, confusion, unreality, and unwisdom, because you are not living in the values of the true knowledge, but rather in the unreal beliefs in cultish religions, in a god, gods, tin gods, saints, images of saints, idols, and ideals, all of which embody the most evil signposts of the road to ruin and the spiritual or consciousness-based impenetrable darkness. Human being of the earth, you are truly not better and not worse than other life forms, and you have not yet reached the impenetrable darkness, damnation, and ruin, on your way of the confusion. Therefore, it is life essential for you, who have now recognized this, since you have the opportunity to hear the words of the love and the truth, that you accept these words within yourself not as the beliefs, but rather in pure knowledge, in order to thus join and enter into the conduct of love, that provides and enlivens all with the power which fulfills the recommendations of the creation in their actuality down to the smallest. Therefore, the light of the creation spreads itself evermore in order to displace the impenetrable darkness which is able to permeate and cast its spell over all. For where there is light, the impenetrable darkness must give way, a fact that you are also able to recognize in the nature as a visible truth. Also, in spiritual form, the light is the creation of everything, and the creation alone is the light which gives its love to you on, in order to use the same as a means and to change yourself into the light of its love. This is the purpose of the second recommendation given to you. Thus, you now know what you have to do in this manner, namely, that you shall love only the creation, which reveals itself to you in all, also in your fellow human beings, and in all other life forms. It alone, the creation, you shall love, honor, esteem, and praise. Therefore, you do not desecrate, or let fall out of control, its name. However, as you love, honor, esteem, and praise the ones next to you, and all other existing, visible and invisible, coarse and fine material life forms, so you therefore follow the laws and recommendations of the creation itself, for it is permanent in all. However, the creation desires of you to follow these laws and recommendations, you who have recognized it in its all-delightful love. Hence, the truth will be in you that the creation is the absolute self and the absolute being, the light that has within its love its full creation power for all great times and spaces. The creation itself reveals that to you, with all belonging to it, for you are, like all, one of its creations, which has been called into existence through its all-embracing love, if only you want to recognize and acknowledge this. Human being of the earth, hear my words, which I, again and again, call out to you anew. Turn yourself towards the creation, which has bestowed to you its love for all great times. Recognize its being, through which the following of its recommendations and laws ensures you the highest blissful happiness. This is in truthliness so, as I instruct you. Therefore do not believe, but be knowing, and do as the creation desires from you, so that you may again enter into that power from which you have once come out of, in order to form and to perfect yourself in knowledge, love, truth, and wisdom, in order, through your return into the being of the power itself, in absolutely full development, to perfect the creation itself. You have thus far circulated through many millions of earth years, evolved and educated yourself in the true knowledge. Yet, however, you have suddenly gone into the confusion, driven by irrational teachings offered to you. So you now have to walk the way anew, which leads to the culmination point, and not to the ruin. The culmination point that is deemed for you as the only one to strive for, the becoming one with the creation in all-embracing love. For a long time you have disregarded the true love of the creation, and so you had to be led up higher very slowly, step by step, until individual ones were brought so far that they, with still unclear yet already searching and inquiring glimpses, were in a position to realize that the creation alone is the love itself which can liberate you, human being of the earth, from all your erroneous assumptions. Therefore, we call out to you again and again. It is only the love alone which is able to liberate you from the yoke of the spiritual or consciousness-based impenetrable darkness. Recognize this, human beings of the earth, and understand that you require the prophets. Recognize and know that these are very rare, however, and at present, only one life form like you is able to hold this role, through which whom we are able to convey and to grant our messages and instructions to you. However, we already gave these instructions and messages earlier to a human being of your world, word for word, the same as now. Nevertheless, however, our messages and instructions were falsified and completely altered into cultish religious sense. Thus she forfeited the truth and created new irrational teachings. However, through your new prophet, our instructions and messages are now written down and conveyed to you, true to the truth. Therefore, know about the truth and trueness of every single letter offered to you through your new prophet, because each one corresponds precisely and extremely correctly to our true transmission. Now, for the present day, be greeted in peaceful love, and recognize the truth of our message, which we convey to you in the I, through the most loyal human being, true to you and the truth of your present and far future time.